This mutation is called Growing Threat, and it is being played on missed opportunities. We have 3 mutators active. We have Transmutation, we have Mutually Assured Destruction, and we have Alien Incubation. So, you will notice right off the bat, ally appears to be blank. This is going to be a mutation solo, and of all commanders, Artanis will be soloing this mutation. Let's have a look at the masteries. We have 30 points into the shield overcharge mastery, 30 points into the energy regeneration mastery, and we have 30 points into the initial Spear of Dune energy mastery. Artanis has picked the Archship Commandant Prestige. So P3 Artanis, really powerful prestige if you know how to use it right. So, and Galagon over here, our resident meme lord, will be soloing this mutation. So, let us talk about the mutators a little bit. Transmutation will cause enemy units to climb up the tech tree, and they will transmutate up to essentially more and more dangerous units as they deal damage to your army. So whenever they deal damage, you will get these units actually transmutating up, and you can get hybrid dominators and all sorts of nasty hybrids at the end of the tech tree. Mutually Assured Destruction kind of synergizes with the Transmutation Mutator a little bit, and if when you are killing an enemy hybrid, they will detonate nukes when they die. Now, there is one tiny difference. I think the tuna fish hybrids have a slightly delayed nuke detonation, but that is pretty much it. The nukes are all really nasty, and given the fact that Artanis does not have the Guardian Shell, it is going to be a little bit scary for Artanis if he were to get hit by these nukes. And then lastly, we have the Alien Incubation Mutator, which is whenever you're killing units, the units will spawn broodlings when they die. So I think one thing I want to do is I'm just going to try and see if I can switch over. Okay, so yeah, the first attack wave has spawned, and we will see how this is going to be end up working. Actually, one thing I want to check is, can I switch over? No, I cannot switch over to the Phoenix list because it is going to be a mutation solo. I was kind of hoping I could make this thing disappear so I didn't have to bring up the little mini-map as I'm talking about that. But our first set of attack waves have been used, and you have these Archons now spawning, and you can see the effectiveness of these Archons over here. We have a set of Archons that have used 2 or 3 Archons to clear out the attack wave, and another few Archons to clear out this first way area here for the harvesting bot. The Zealots have finished slapping away at these rocks, and the Nexus is down for Artanis, and in production we have his Nexus, and he's also going for the Templar Archives. Now, unfortunately, that one Broodling over there is going to start nibbling away on Phoenix's little Purifier Conclave, but that gets cleaned up very quickly by Artanis. Artanis will probably want to make his way towards the first Terrazine Geyser so that he can protect these bots. And the Transmutation Mutator is the one that makes this mutation really difficult, and it is very easy for this thing to spiral out of control when you are, especially when your army ends up dying. Obviously, Stukov over here is not a good idea for a commander set for this mutation, and likewise Zagara also tends to struggle a little bit, but other than that, most commanders will be okay as long as you're a little bit careful. You can see over here Transmutation already a little bit active, and now unfortunately we have the first set of bots here, and you can see what's happened. Artanis has actually spawned 3 of these Archons right now to try and deal with this attack wave, and he's keeping the rest of his charges free so that he can wait until the next attack wave comes in, and he's going to clearing that out as well. So he's going to do that. There we go. A few more Archons being dropped over here, and what he's basically done is he's used his Skull Down to clear out these units, and these units pretty much stand no chance against these Archons. These Archons deal so much insane amounts of damage, especially with their little Plasma Blast abilities, which go in random directions. Pretty much everything melts. I think it's the equivalent of like dealing damage with solar lenses from Kerax, so those things are really strong. And you can see here Artanis not really sacrificing any of his Zealots. He's still pretty much lost. Okay, he has lost 1 Zealot over there, but 10 of those Archons have been cleared out just using the just using these Archons to handle this first Vespene Harvester bot while Artanis gets ready and good to go. You can see here what he's done. He's gotten his Psy Storm, he's gotten the Kaidaran Amulet upgrade, and he's also going to be getting his Plasma Surge upgrade here for the High Templars. So, High Templars are a really interesting. P1 Artanis is really powerful when they're High Templars with P1 Artanis, you can pretty much delete entire attack waves. But this is P3 Artanis, but he's going to be using these High Templars to not only recharge the shields of his army, but also deal with the Broodlings that will be spawning inevitably from the attack waves. And now Artanis is ready, and he's going to start pushing in. And he's going to slowly poke in here. A few storms go down on top of the Zerg army, and whatever Broodlings end up spawning also end up melting with this. And you can see this is the issue here with Transmutation. As you saw here, the units that are being dealt with Transmutation, whenever they transmutate up, they start off obviously at full HP and full energy as well. So it can get pretty hairy if you're not careful, and this is what causes the thing to spiral, because you'll bring a unit down to 5 HP and it'll transmutate up, and now you have to re-kill the whole unit all over again. So this is where Transmutation can get a little bit tricky. Artanis has pretty much saturated his expansion right now, and he's pretty much doing okay. We have a Robo coming down as well for the detection. Enemy attack wave composition is Devouring Scourge. It is an air comp, so it's going to be really nice for Artanis, especially having tons of storms. And now the first attack wave has spawned. We have a few Mulists here harassing a little bit of Artanis. Those High Templars have to be a little bit careful about it. They are going to get Archon merged once they have expended their energy, and this is something you should be doing when you're playing the Artanis, especially Artanis, where your High Templars basically are pretty much cannon fodder for everything that spawns. They are going to get aggroed very, very quickly by Amon's forces. Is expend the energies on your High Templar storms and then merge them into an Archon. But remember, Artanis has to be really careful. He cannot afford to lose any of these units, and especially because he has no Guardian Shell, it's gonna sting if he starts losing his units over here. And you can see some more storms coming out, melting those Mulists. There's one last Viking over here as well. Artanis has to be very careful with how he uses his energy, and he's keeping some of his High Templars unmerged. One thing to note is that it is very, you have to pay attention to how you utilize your energy. It is really tempting to try and merge these into Archons when they are a little bit low on HP, or when they're low on energy. But one thing you have to pay attention to is that when you're merging two of your High Templars, you're having the energy pool, because each High Templar has 200 energy, and you're taking two of those 200 energy High Templars and merging them into one 200 energy Archon. And because of that, sometimes it is better to keep your High Templars up. So it's really a matter of how you choose to engage attack waves and how you choose. Like this High Templar, for example, might be worth merging, but I think maybe Artanis is waiting until one of the other High Templars take a little bit of damage, and he's going to merge the two of them into an Archon. But now he has a reasonably beefy army, and his first solar bombardment did go here now, but Artanis needs to try and push in to this next side and get ready to go. So he's just queuing up his army, making sure everything is ready. A few random Broodlings over here that have managed to spawn. The solar bombardment that has gone down on the northern side over here is just going to weaken everything in that area. And Artanis doesn't really need very much help clearing out there. It's that hybrid over there that is a problem. You can see the hybrid detonated the nuke over there. So very important to not get hit by those nukes, because one nuke, if you're not paying attention and one transmutation hits you and you get a hybrid and you end up killing the hybrid, if you're not paying attention, you'll end up losing your entire army. And as I said before, because he's using P3, he does not have the Guardian Shell available to him. So there are no second chances for Artanis. He has to do this pretty much perfectly, otherwise he loses his entire army. Archons are already warping in now. We have some Dragoons as well to provide a little bit of extra damage output and better anti-air for the rest of Artanis' army. And we also have one Observer here that gets warped in, just clear out the rest of the Swarm Hosts. And Swarm Hosts and Broodlords are two of the most dangerous units when you're up against Transmutation, because every single Locust and every single Broodling can transmutate up if they are given enough chance and they are able to deal enough damage. So you have to be very, very careful. Now, in the case of Artanis, it doesn't really matter, but if you are new to Transmutation, one thing to note is that if you have a hero unit, a heroic unit, so say Tychus or Dehaka or Nova or Alarak, if you have that hero unit and that hero unit dies to one of Amon's units, it doesn't matter if the Amon unit is a Broodling or if the Amon unit is a Thor, for example. That unit will transmutate all the way up the tech tree, all the way to maximum level, and you will get a hybrid Behemoth or a hybrid Dominator. So usually people who end up losing Transmutation end up snowballing Amon's forces by losing one heroic unit, and then you have a number of heroic units also ending up dying to Amon's forces. That's where things can get really bad. Because you see Storms blanketing the Zealots, making sure that these Zealots do not lose any of their shields, and now the rest of Amon's forces just get completely killed off by the Dragoons as well as the Storms, and one feedback as well going down the Brood Queen to clean that up. Now there's another attack wave coming up, and Zealots having their Whirlwind ability, able to clear up pretty much everything over here. Scourge very, very nice because Artanis is not using any of the air units that he has available to him. He's not really taking any damage, and it's very unlikely that Amon will also be making Overseers here, so his Observers are pretty much safe. You can see over here what's happening. There are no Overseers here, which means his Observers are safe, and it means that pretty much none of these units are going to be dying to Amon's forces, so that's going to be really, really nice. So Artanis now is going to get repositioned over here to get ready, and he's going to start blanketing this area with Storm. There are two Tuna Fish hybrids here, and this is where the problem comes up. The shield overcharge gets used for Artanis here to try and provide these units with a little bit of extra HP. He's weakening these units equally along the way, and now there's a nuke that comes up and the second nuke that also gets detonated, but that was actually really nicely handled by Artanis, losing very, very few units over here. He's lost a total of 6 Zealots throughout the course of this game, and he is floating 200 energy right now, so he is doing really, really well. Now Artanis is going to start pushing into the small enemy camp. Remember that this camp was weakened from the solar bombardment that he used earlier before he pushed into the third wave of harvesting bot camps here, so that's pretty nice. Now Artanis is going to be waiting for his little attack wave to come up. He's going to be sacrificing one Zealot. He's going to be a little bit inhumane, gets ready with his Archons, and now Archons have spawned, and we have also a solar bombardment over here. Archons are trying to get out of the way of these hybrid dominators. Unfortunately, a few nukes end up going out, but solar bombardment should have done a good amount of damage, and now Artanis will have to be a little bit careful with how he engages this. Hybrid dominator is going to see him, and he's going to try and focus down. One of these hybrid dominators ends up going down. Nuke gets off as well. Next hybrid dominator is ready to be killed, and he's going to be Starstep microed out again. And he's losing a few of his Dragoons over here, but again, nothing too much that Artanis cannot handle. And now, unfortunately, some of those Broodlings end up spawning, and they have aggroed some of Phoenix's army over here. But we have some more orbital strikes coming down, so first nuke detonation does come out, and actually these Archons end up surviving the nuke detonations for the most part. Unfortunately, press F for Phoenix's probes. A lot of the probes have ended up dying, but again, that is not really too much of an issue. Artanis now needs to start pushing in and start clearing out this next area for the harvesters here. Again, there's one more hybrid over here. Hybrids can get really annoying because they get all up in your face whenever they see you. So Ultralisk does go down. Artanis is just cleaning up some of the units that are on the side here, just to make sure everything is okay. And now let's try and engage this hybrid and see. Notice how these Dragoons are over here, so move out of the way and using his shield overcharge. Unfortunately, some of those Dragoons do end up dying to the hybrid detonation. But yeah, these hybrid detonations are the things that will end up getting you killed, so you have to be a little bit careful. Dragoons moving out of the range of the hybrid nuke. Very nice pullback there from Artanis, and now all is pretty much good to go. Now all there's left here is a few storms coming down on top of Amon's army. And we have some more Warhounds as well. And now this is the problem. Like, see, notice how the transmutation affected that unit. That unit turned into a big tuna fish hybrid, and that hybrid also is going to end. Actually, very unfortunately, a hybrid behemoth did end up spawning as well. So I think something ended up killing the Archon, and that unit turned into a hybrid behemoth, and that is also going to be another nuke. And now the first attack wave has already started to aggro these units, but Artanis warps in a bunch of Zealots over here. The attack waves that come in from this side are pretty scary on this wave of bots because they are like 5-1 attack waves. So you get like 1,000 Lings or 1,000 Zerglings that just end up harassing this bot. You have to be a little bit careful. That was very well handled by Artanis. Artanis is going to take position now in the middle of these harvesting bots, make his way now towards the next area over here. Storms coming down, blanketing the Mutalisks, and pretty much everything here has been cleared out. Now, one thing to note about Artanis' storms is they stack only if you have the Plasma Surge upgrade. So the Plasma Surge upgrade allows Artanis to regenerate the shields of his units that are underneath the storm, and that upgrade, for some reason, allows Artanis' storms to stack. If you do not have that upgrade, Artanis' storms do not stack, and they will not deal double damage if you have 2 storms on top of the area. Archons get used to handle the first bot here, and over here, some more storms blanketing these Zerglings, clearing them all out, and these Archons are going to have absolutely no problems handling that little harass wave over there. And now these 3 bots still chipper, still all up and running. Artanis will have to be a little bit careful. He is running a little bit low on energy and not enough energy for orbital strikes, so he's gonna have to engage this by himself. Nothing really too much he cannot handle. There's gonna be a bunch of Lings here, maybe a few Mutalisks, but nothing that is out of the scope of the ability of Artanis, and his next solar bombardment is ready. And I have a feeling that solar bombardment is going to be used for this attack wave that will be coming up. And yeah, all three harvesting bots are on their way back. Artanis getting back into position, but there's another harass wave that is coming up towards this harvesting bot. I do not know what Artanis' plan is over here. What is he going to do? Okay, he's going to go engage that with his army. Again, some more storms, keeping those zealots alive, making sure Amon is not getting free kills on his army. And that is pretty much all there's left. There are a few guardians over here as well, and now that attack wave is going to be making its way towards Artanis' power field. So how is Artanis going to engage this attack wave? He has to maneuver this a little bit carefully. Okay, he's just going to hands-on just take this on with the storms here. The guardians are really slow, so they tend to break away from the attack wave as they're moving. That actually allows Artanis a good amount of time to handle the entirety of the units that are here. And now Artanis has an army of zealots, and he's pretty much supply cap right now, so he's doing really well. And what is he going to, how is he going to engage this now? And again, like I said, there are camps here. I think there may be a hybrid or a few here. I think he's going to be setting an observer. Yeah, he's going to just pay attention to that one hybrid. Drops a solar bombardment on this hybrid. I do not think the hybrid, okay, now the hybrid ended up dying, and he's going to be moving his observer again over here, just getting a little bit of vision. Might even potentially use some Archons over here to clear this out. Broodlords over here. The Broodlords are pretty scary because these Broodlords actually are really high tier units by themselves. So again, very nice feedbacks from Artanis, just one-shotting all of these units. Remember that Transmutation regenerates their energy all the way to full, so if a unit transmutates up and you get Raven or you get an Oracle, you can actually feedback that if you have enough time, and you can actually one-shot the unit with the feedback from Artanis. Artanis is one of the better commanders for Transmutation because he allows you to also deal with hybrid. He allows you to get back into the game in case, you know, if you're playing with an ally and your ally has, you know, lost all. Say your ally is playing Tychus and, you know, you lose all of his outlaws, you suddenly have 5 hybrid dominators running at you. Having the High Templars with their access to feedback makes life a lot easier. You can just drain the hybrid dominator's energy, and that's pretty much the most dangerous threat that Amon can throw at you. Pretty much neutered right then and there. So Artanis now just getting into position, making sure he's warping in a few more High Templars. I wonder now what his plan is. How is he actually going to handle the next wave of harvesting bots? In terms of upgrades, as you can see, we have shield upgrades coming up for Artanis, and that's pretty much it. No upgrades, no attack upgrades for Artanis. He's relying purely on skill damage. Yeah, there are a few Dragoons over here, but it's not really too big of a deal. He has his attack upgrades already done, so no armor upgrades necessary for these Dragoons. Mostly relying on the skill damage of the High Templars and the Orbital Strike Archons, as well as the Zealot Whirlwind. So how is Artanis? Well, yeah, Artanis is actually pretty much ahead of the game. He has really nothing else he's worried about. Going for his level 2 shield upgrades. He could be going for his armor upgrades as well. He is flowing a little bit of extra gas, but I think Artanis wants to keep that extra gas just in the rare chance that he may lose a few of his High Templars, because those High Templars draw a lot of aggro. It's very, Amon sees High Templars and Amon instantly sees. Amon looks at High Templars like I look at brownies. It's just delicious stuff that needs to be eaten. So, as again, gonna go ahead and engage this. Few more storms blanketing this area. Scourge are pretty much useless for Amon here. They're not really gonna be doing anything for Amon's forces. Some random Guardians over here as well, but these Guardians end up dying, and now there's another harass wave coming in from the northern side. But again, Artanis' army is already in position, and Amon's army is actually waiting for this harvesting bot to get into position. 3 more storms blanketing this and clearing out this harassment. There's another set of Guardians over here that straggling behind. Another harass wave comes up very nicely and very conveniently positioned here for Artanis. Infestor spazzing out right now, dropping some more of its infested Terrans, but that is the Infestor killed off. Now there's another wave coming up again towards this side, and because the attack wave is a flying attack wave, it will actually navigate over the terrain, which gets a little bit annoying. Now these Guardians are going to be harassing Amon's forces from the northern side, but again, there is an Observer to provide a little bit of vision here for Artanis. Very nice siege up of the Observer there, making sure that he is not actually taking unnecessary damage from these Guardians. And now there are going to be some very lovely storms coming up here, blanketing Amon's forces, wiping and completely destroying Amon's forces without any kind of reprieve there. Artanis has actually not lost a lot of units. Okay, he has lost 14 High Templars. Okay, I take that back in. It was slightly inhumane towards the High Templars, but that's fine. Again, a few more storms coming in from the Guardians, but now there is another attack harassment coming in from the bottom. More storms coming out, killing off all those Mulisks, all those Devourers, and stack storms on top of these Guardians as well. These Guardians just explode into tiny little bits. And now Artanis will have to try and deal with the next attack wave that'll be coming up very, very shortly. There's another harass wave coming in from the southern side. And again, Artanis is in position. Now the attack wave has spawned. And these Guardians as well being a little bit annoying. But again, Archons, absolutely no problems dealing with this. And what is Artanis going to do? He's going to be dropping some of his Archons over here. These Archons are going to start killing off a lot of these things. We have a solar bombardment that gets used as well. Nukes detonating, killing off a lot of these Archons. And we also have a shield overcharge over here. One very upset Hybrid Dominator does use a Plasma Blast on top of these Dragoons. These Dragoons are done here. And there's a little bit of a split. And yeah, very, very quickly. I think there's this one Dragoon's taking a little bit of damage, but again, some more storms on top of that harass wave. That wave is gone. Now 3 more Guardians left over. Is Artanis going to have mercy? Is he going to be showing mercy? He's not going to be showing mercies. Storms blanketing these Guardians, killing off the rest of these units. No bonus objectives done, but I do not think it would be fair to ask for the bonus objectives here. This has been an Artanis solo. And units lost, you know, not too bad. 14 High Templars, given the fact that he has no Guardian Shell and they get focus fired down and it's a Mutation solo. I think it's a very, very well done game. But all the harvesting bots have been protected, no losses there. And yes, Setman is happy. He has gotten all the terrains he's been looking for, and that is GG.